Every year, 220,000 people get out of the military. That is the number that the Department of Defense uses for manning purposes.
So 200,000 people become vets every year. They're released to civilian life. A lot of them don't reach out to their families and they are not sure what to do. It's a hard change for them to go to be like, now what do I do? Hey, if you were in service, you signed your life for a contract to do as you're told. So when you leave, you are privileged to those benefits. Those belong to you. Use them. Don't let them sit there.
They're not just benefits, Edgar. They're entitlements. And I think
yes.
It's funny, right? People use like, I don't want to be entitled. But like some of those entitlements are really powerful. To be a recipient of your VA disability rating, that's an entitlement. And with that comes some other serious things. So for me, I don't pay property taxes on my home.
If you guys are out there and haven't been able to grieve over a death, reach out to their family. Take some time. A lot of them were like, I don't know why I didn't do this sooner. Hello and welcome to the Dream Start Own podcast. I'm your host, Edgar the Connector, and today we have the Rachel Davis.
That's right. Like the University of Ohio. It's the Rachel Davis. I'm being silly.
Duh, because she's fantastic. She helps out veterans in ways that other veterans haven't been helped out before. Happy to have you on the show. I've met her at Owners Club, Pace Morby's higher level mastermind, and I'm excited to talk to her some more. I've been able to talk to her a little bit about, but she has so much information that so many people can take advantage of and use, and it'll benefit them, especially our veterans.
Thank you, Edgar. I'm super pumped to be here. So I have mad respect for anyone who can keep a podcast going for over a year.
Thank you so much. You have your REI baddies?
I do. Right? We're only at now? 25, so we haven't been for a full year. We're at 6 months now.
Hey, that's great. You've already passed up, I think, like 90% of most podcasts ever.
That's crazy.
You're a step in the right direction.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Sir. Where are you located?
Yeah, I am located just south of Charlotte, North Carolina, in a town called Fort Mill. You can basically throw a rock and hit North Carolina. And the reason we lived here is actually, or moved here as opposed to Charlotte, is based on us being veterans. So we can talk about that.
Awesome. Which branch did you serve?
Yeah, I did 8 years in the Army. So I started off as a logistics officer in the 82nd Airborne Division. So I used to yeet myself out of helicopters and aircraft for a living. And then I went over to the reserve and I became a psychological operations officer.
Psychological operations officer? What is that?
Yeah, so I promise you I wasn't wearing like tinfoil on my head or anything. PsyOps is effectively marketing, but to our foreign partners. So a great way for me to explain it, it wasn't uncommon for us to be deployed in Afghanistan and folks can't read. So we would set up things like radio stations and play the Quran. We would play Sesame Street and like Farsi. And then we would put in like, hey, if you see someone burying an IED, call this number and we'll give you some cash. So much like what we do with real estate, we provided value on the front end. And then on the back end, asked for something that would help out U.S. forces. So I implement a lot of the same things with real estate.
Wow, that's some things you don't hear about. Like my brother was in the Marines and he didn't want to talk about what was going on over there. Unfortunately, we lost him in 2006, so he wasn't able to come back and tell us the stories.
I'm sorry, Edgar.
Thank you. It's 20 years just about in October. And then we actually last year, for his birthday in August, we had quite a few people from his battalion come out for his birthday, and I was able to talk to them, and a lot of them actually got closure after 19 years because they were, still in action, weren't able to take that pause to take the moment for grievance,
It's not uncommon. I'm sorry that happened, but I'm glad to hear that you guys are celebrating life and that other people are getting comfort from that. That's incredibly important.
Let's improve your sleep. Not by buying a new mattress or by changing your sleep time, your sleep hours, or how much sleep you're getting. As an entrepreneur, we know that you're not going to get more sleep most of the time. Check out 8 Sleep, the pod. It's a sheet that goes around your mattress, has these tubes where water runs through, and it'll adjust your temperature based on your preference. So you'll stay consistent temperature all night, and it'll adjust through the algorithm. Your consistent temperature, sleep deeper at night, sleep better. My version I got was with the adjustable base. So when I'm snoring, it helps adjust it and reduce the snore, which is very good for myself to sleep longer. I toss and turn less, and my wife likes it too. You know, happy wife, happy life. Back to the episode. Yeah, definitely. If you guys are out there and haven't been able to grieve over a death of somebody that was you were there with, reach out to their family. Take some time. A lot of them were like, I don't know why I didn't do this sooner. Just stop, take the call, pick up the phone, call them. You might be silent for a while, but it's one step in the right direction.
Thank you, Edgar. I couldn't have said that any better myself. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. So you're in real estate, and with veterans is kind of your niche in there. Is that right?
Yeah. So I learned pretty quickly that the veteran space is one that I tend to excel in. Again, I served for 8 years in the Army. My dad served in the Army and did a full career. And even after I left the Army, I still worked in the special operations community just as a GS employee or a government civilian. So I've just been around it, and it's just saturated my entire life. And I learned in real estate that there are a lot of people who want to work with veterans, but they don't necessarily know all the time what benefits that are available to them. And so it sometimes it feels to a lot of veterans like a handout, which overwhelmingly we're not interested in. So I've started learning how to position things, and now I'm starting to work with nonprofits to be able to work with some other folks in our community that have housing and just need someone with like a government grant, or if they have, funds from donors, to be able to start bridging those conversations.
Yeah, that was a strong statement you said there. A lot of the veterans don't want to take it because they look at it as a handout. Mm-hmm. It's been quite a few months now. We went to talk to some veterans, and one of them said that they had, when as a civilian, they don't have their team that they have when they're in the Marines or in the service. Mm-hmm. And they don't go asking for help, because when you're in the service, you get assigned your team, this and that. You don't have to go looking for it. Mm-hmm. So that was a big thing that stuck with me, that they don't want to ask for that help. And yeah, what you mentioned now being super important, that it is, they look at it as a handout when it's not. Hey, if you were in service, you signed your life for a contract to do as you're told. So when you leave, you are privileged to those benefits. You are, those belong to you. Use them. Don't let them sit there.
They're not just benefits, Edgar. They're entitlements. And I think
yes.
It's funny, right? Like people use like, I don't want to be entitled. But like some of those entitlements are really powerful. To be a recipient of your VA disability rating, that's an entitlement. And with that comes some other serious things. So for me, I don't pay property taxes on my home. I don't pay property taxes on my home. I don't pay property taxes up to 2 of my vehicles. And my children go to college at absolutely no cost to me or my husband in the state of South Carolina. That's an entitlement. And I'm okay with that. And I think most of America is okay with that. At least I hope so.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with it. If you have an issue with it, please drop a comment below and let me understand your point of view. Why? But it's great that you're able to take advantage of that. So I know a lot of people don't understand what qualifies as disability. I mean, you have your 4 limbs, right? You have your 2 arms, your 2 legs, and you walk fine. But there's a lot of, I guess, I don't know what the right word is, to make yourself disabled, or to become 100% disabled to qualify for that. What tips do you have for veterans that haven't taken advantage of that?
Oh my gosh. So the first thing I tell anyone who served who hasn't taken advantage of getting their VA disability rating, I usually want to know why. And the answers that I typically run into are, I'm fine. And my response to that is that disability money gets spent in your economy. So even if you think I'm good, I don't need that $174 for 10% for my tinnitus, right? For my ears ringing. My answer is normally like, well, do you go to church? I live in the South, so the answer 9 times out of 10 is yes. And I'm like, well, could someone at your church, could your vacation Bible school use that money? Like, is there a sheriff's department that has a teddy bear fund that could use that money? So I just encourage people to look at it more holistically. And then the other piece of this is if any of them are married, I let them know When you pass away, because it's only a matter of time for all of us, if your coroner puts something on that rating that relates to your death and your disability rating, your spouse is now eligible for something called DIC funding, which will supplement the income that they're going to lose based off of you losing your VA disability and death. So to me, the VA disability rating is a gift that you continue to give your family. So if you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for your spouse and take care of it when you're still healthy. I'll do a little bit of a tangent. I used to work at a veteran nonprofit here in Charlotte, and we did something called a Veterans Benefit Live, where we teamed up with all the veteran service offices from across North and South Carolina to get people their rating. And in 3 days, we saw over 1,300 people, and the vast majority of them were Vietnam-era veterans. And they were coming in because of things like Agent Orange, and they hadn't talked to their spouse about it, and they're older, and their brains are a little rattled, right? So their spouse doesn't know how to communicate for them. They're not really able to effectively communicate for themselves. And I just keep thinking to myself, how much easier would this have been had you done this 30 years ago? 30 years ago.
Do they get that back pay?
It's going to depend on how their veteran service officer like fills out their paperwork. I think I have heard of some claims getting like ridiculously large back payments. The vast majority of people that I've worked with, their back pay will typically go back maybe 1 or 2 years. But I mean, even still, I made almost $60,000 in back pay. I don't know a lot of people who would turn that down.
No, definitely not. Great. I've had many people tell me about 811. Is that where you refer them to go to, or do you prefer them to go somewhere else that's going to help them out?
So are you talking about veteran suicide?
I heard that not just suicide, that it's just for resources for veterans in general.
Interesting. Yeah. So I actually never pointed anyone to 811. I usually tell people, Edgar, that every single county in the nation, so all 3,000 counties, have something called a veteran service office. And that those people who work in the Veteran Service Office are, wait for it, paid for by your county tax dollars. So again, when I say to veterans, why don't you have your benefits? You're already paying for them. So I tell people, just Google your county and Google Veteran Service Office. The name and number of the people who are local to you will immediately pop up. So 811 is great for really generalized information, but overwhelmingly, I feel like most people need to know the resources that are in their local community, and that's who's going to know.
You heard it here, Veteran Service Office for your county. 3,000 counties in the United States, they all have one. They're all paid by your taxes. Take advantage. Use it. It's there for you. Pick up the phone, call them. Most likely, do they have website access, or is it all mainly?
Oh, yeah. I've not found one that doesn't have a website. So again, because it's county, it's probably not going to be a good website.
Unfortunately.
But yeah, at least have their address and phone number and a way to get a hold of them.
Great. Hey, if you're a veteran, you're getting something out of this, please give us a like. Subscribe to the channel. It's free. I'm always trying to help out veterans. As I mentioned earlier, my brother was killed in action. But if he did come back home, I don't know what version of my brother I would have gotten. And he could have been one that didn't ask me for help, that he was in the streets. So I'm here to help you out, because each one of you is a brother to me and a sister to me. It's family. Rachel, so what do you have going on for housing for veterans?
Yeah, so I'm actually currently working. Wow, I can speak today. I'm currently working with Michael Minot-Stakanian. And I am working with him to find nonprofits that have access to government grants. So that way we can start working on getting master agreements with the nonprofit, and they can start fulfilling their grant requirements inventory. So it becomes like a symbiotic in the best possible way relationship. That has actually been fairly recent. When we were in Owners Club, Jamil did an incredible breakdown on how to do lease agreements and work with nonprofits. And honestly, Edgar, I mean, we stayed in the same property. I'm sure you saw, like, it was like someone hit me with a lightning rod, where I was like, oh, I can facilitate these conversations all day. These conversations are way easier than underwriting. Like, I already know the people with the properties. I can just consult and be like, all right, I need to know what your square, how many people, where it is, how do we get it so that eventually these people in the nonprofits can meet you. um yeah, I mean, I'm just, once I learned that this money exists out there and they're just looking for our community, I was on it. I was all over it.
Yeah, it's for a good cause, and they're already put in there. They already have the funds coming to them. They know how to get the funds. Now we're going to provide the properties to be able to provide housing for veterans. So when you meet nonprofits, I know, like, I'm in the sober living space currently, and we work with Oxford House. They're a nonprofit, and they're all over nationwide. Are the nonprofits that you're talking about, are they the same nationwide, or is there like smaller ones for each county, each city that you have to go and find and do the same process over and over again for each different nonprofit?
So it's both. I actually have a follow-on conversation next week with the Gary Sinise Foundation. Gary Sinise Foundation's all over the country. I worked with them when I worked at a veteran nonprofit myself here in Charlotte. I'm also reaching out to small local organizations. So I tend to focus on organizations that have between like 20 and 200 people, because I'm shocked Gary Sinise's foundation reached back out to me, to be perfectly honest with you, because I'm sure they get flooded. Where local nonprofits are a great place to start because they need the help. They're in it, and they don't have the funding that, like, an American Red Cross or a Wounded Warrior has. So when you have those conversations with local nonprofits, it completely adjusts what they sound like. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Just higher levels, they're a little bit lower. I understand. Yeah, definitely.
I actually enjoy talking to the local nonprofits more. They get much more excited that someone reached out to them, where I think these other foundations, I mean, if you have a jot form to work with them, I'm like, okay, they get enough help.
Yeah, definitely. Enough people asking them and enough help, but maybe not even enough help because they are well known. So they're probably the first option to go to. It's like the people in Owners Club, the ones that pays call out. Everybody goes to them instead of the other people that are silent about what they're doing.
100%.
And then you're networking out there and meet them and see what they're doing. You're like, oh, wait, you're doing what he's doing, but you don't have a crowd around you. So let me talk to you.
100%. Where all of a sudden now you're like, it's way easier to show I have value with you because your dance card isn't as full.
Yeah, definitely. You can stand out a little bit more when you're there to reach out with them.
Yeah, 100%.
Great. So I know you had a couple of properties and ready to close. What kind of properties are those, for co-living, for veteran housing?
They would have been. Unfortunately, I was talking with you a little bit about this. Had a deal fall through for a 5-property portfolio. Totally fine. I have been trying to lean more heavily into that's not my property. I'm one no closer to yes. But I am focused in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and I like the co-living model in Fayetteville because it's next to the largest military installation in the country called Fort Bragg. And I talked with you a little bit about this, but I'm excited to tell your audience about it here. Much to a lot of people's dismay, you have to be separated in the state of South and North Carolina for 1 full year before you can get divorced. So you cannot live together in the same property for 1 year. 1 year. Now, in the military, one thing we love to do is get married super, super young and get divorced also really young. Yes, but part of that, why you do this, is when you get married in the military, for listeners of yours who don't know this, service members get something called a Basic Allowance for Housing, or BAH. And it's meant to cover them and their spouse moving off base to either get like an apartment, but most of them buy a house because they have the VA loan. So they're like, I can buy a property, I spend no money on a down payment, and the military pays for me to stay in it. Well, when you separate, the military says you will give the majority of your BAH to your spouse. So what happens to a lot of these guys is they're like, oh, okay, that's cool. I'll just move back to the barracks. You can't do that, because when you get something from the Department of Defense for funding to move off base, they say we've already taken care of that. To move back on base would be double dipping. So a lot of my soldiers, when I was still serving, either found themselves in situationships, which inevitably got them in more trouble, or they would end up couch surfing, which also isn't great. And so, what my husband and I are trying to do in Fayetteville is acquire properties creatively and work with soldiers who are in their year of separation so that we can provide a significantly cheaper alternative to living in a one bedroom apartment. And on top of that, exactly what you're talking about, Edgar, the socialization piece. I don't know if you've been divorced. I have, and it is really lonely and really hard. And the idea of having soldiers together during a really hard time when they are susceptible to more depression and anxiety, something that Michael and I have heart for. And another piece of this that's a value add on our co-living is when you're in the military, you get something called TA-50. It's that thousands of dollars of equipment that you sign for. So think your rucksack, you don't sign for your weapon, but you can get uniforms assigned. You can get there's a sleep system. I remember when I signed for it was a 3-season sleep system that cost $800. So what happens sometimes to these guys is they leave their TA-50 with their wife, and it's primarily wives. I'm sure I know it happens to the inverse, but I'm going to use sorry guys, I know we're in a new world, but I'm going to use guys. What happens to these guys is they'll leave their equipment with their spouse, and sometimes their spouse goes and hawks it. So now, which is totally not okay for so many reasons, but now the guy's on the hook for thousands of dollars of equipment that's missing. So Michael and I want to take the space that's next to the kitchen, that's usually a higher transition space anyway, because it's loud. No one wants to be near a stinky kitchen. We're taking that and converting it to places for them to store and secure their TA-50 where it's labeled and locked for them individually. So they don't have to worry about that.
That's things people that are not in the service are not going to know about. That's interesting. That's crazy to think about. So if you're in the military and you're getting married just for that, think long and hard.
Oh my gosh. Don't get married for VAH, guys. Don't do it. Yeah, that should not be your motivating factor. It's called fraud.
It may be tempting, but at the end, if it doesn't work out, it's going to be a lot worse. It's not going to be worth it.
100%.
Crazy. Man, you must have a lot of stories of people just talking about that.
You have no idea the amount of stories that I can tell about service, and just, it's funny, people will be like, you joined the service because you couldn't get into college, or you didn't get a real job or whatever. And I laugh because I'm like, you can replace college freshmen with Army private in the same behavior. I slept in through class and didn't go is no different than I slept through formation, right? Like getting too rowdy on a Friday night and waking up hungover Saturday. That's college freshman. That's Army private. Like there's a lot of similarities. Kids are kids.
Yeah, all around that same age group.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, so your buy box for properties in that area, do you have one set already?
I do. Would you like me to talk about it?
Tell me about it, Rachel.
Yeah, no, I love it. So I primarily like to acquire in high equity deals where the person is willing to carry a note or be the bank. I do that because I think it solves more problems than a subject to. However, and I will get into the bed bath count. I just want to tell people that my preferred method.
Part of the Dream Start On podcast is to start. And if you haven't started by getting your LLC, or if you need another LLC, use the link below to get with PCS, Prime Corporate Services, and they'll give you a consultation to walk you through getting your LLC. You can do it yourself, but they're going to walk you through it. They're not going to charge you extra than what you would pay doing it yourself. And they know how to set up the LLC appropriately to be protected, to get your operating agreement, and to make sure that you're coded correctly for the most business funding. Why do you want business funding? Because it doesn't affect your personal credit as much, and you can get so much more to help you scale faster, move faster, and grow faster. So use the link below to get your LLC set up with Prime Corporate Services. Now back to the episode.
I can do cash with my partners to fix and flip and fix and hold. And my goal for 2026 is to acquire a property through subject to from a veteran, convert it and make them a limited partner on my LLC. So that way, instead of subject to feeling predatory, I'm making the veteran my partner. And instead of them being stuck in a low equity position and maybe cutting a check, now I'm going to pay them in 5 years when I refinance. Plus, I avoid due on sell because my seller is also the buyer on the LLC. But I'm looking for 3 2s, 1,800 square feet, no HOA, no pool, all the same stuff that you would need in a listing for pad split, except we will self-manage.
Great. Yeah, that's a very good idea to be able to empower the seller, the veteran, and then if they're paying attention, they'll learn and be able to help them for the future to be able to take care of themselves and even grow wealth. I love it.
And veterans are an echo chamber, dude. Like, there's another Lieutenant Davis on Fort Bragg right now. She has the same soldier problems I did. She does the same training that I did. She does the same PT I did. She's just like 30 pounds lighter and probably like a lot faster. So if I taught that person how to do this, if you don't think they're going to go to their formation and hear, because the VA loan is primed to be a low equity position. You put no money down and you're going to move in 3 years. What do you think is going to happen? So now, all of a sudden, when people are in that situation, my limited partner can tell them, hey, either I can help you or I can introduce you to my friend Rachel Davis, who helped me out of the same situation.
Let's go to the VA loan. When we were at Miami for the retreat, you were talking about VA loans and something you wish that realtors would know and would be more open to the veterans or the military personnel that are using their VA loans to buy their house and the 3-year window that they have before they move. What is it that you want to share with realtors to be able to take home?
I know.
We're teaching.
No, I heard someone say at one period of time that the VA loan was not a great benefit because of low equity. And my response would be similar to what you and I are about to discuss, which is the VA loan puts people in very vulnerable positions in that they don't put a down payment. And so they can become much more susceptible to market shifts. And because they have to move every 3 to 5 years, I really wish more brokerages would train their agents in understanding when to tell a veteran no. You should not buy this property with your VA loan. Or if you're going to buy this property, let's underwrite it so that it's also a successful long-term rental. But I've met one agent, one, the year I've been calling agents, that does that with someone. Nothing makes me more frustrated than talking to an agent with a seller who's on the VA loan in a low equity position that sold them their house 2 years ago. It's so hard for me to hold my tongue when that happens because the agent has a fiduciary responsibility to that seller. And to me, that is a part of that fiduciary responsibility, is to explain to them the potential risks because they're going to make money regardless.
Facts. Yes, 100%. So we're talking about low equity. Somebody buys a property. Okay, it's valued at $200,000, and then the VA loan is going to give you the full amount, 100% loan to value, which means that your loan is for the value of the house. Then the agent's going to get probably 3%, so they get paid. And then when you're making your payments, this is for the audience out there, if you don't know about mortgages, VAs, just mortgages in general, the first 5 years or so of you making your payments on your property is going towards interest. So you're not building equity unless your property shoots up in value in that time period. So for veterans that are using their VA loan, if they're buying a property, they should not buy them the max that they can. If they are going to use 100%, they should buy something that's priced at less than the market value of it. So when you do got to move up to 3 years, if you're going to sell it, you're not writing a check when you close. And why would you write a check if you're selling something? Well, because when you sell that product, the house, it's not worth what you owe on it and what you have to pay the agent their commission and any repairs you're going to do. So when you do sell it, you're going to sell the house and you're going to give money out there. You don't want to do that.
100%, Edgar. 100%. And again, I just wish more brokerages had that honest conversation with buyers on the front end. I just think it's the most responsible thing you can do as an agent in that situation, particularly because veterans are such a haloed community.
Oh, yeah. I completely agree with that. But for the veterans that are already, not even just veterans, but the actual military personnel that are in that situation, they can reach out to us, reach out to people in the community. If you think our community is a scam, check out this other episode that we have talking about Sub-2 community and why it's legit, why it works, and all the people that the community has been able to help. But if you're in that situation and you have to pay money to sell the property, reach out to me, reach out to Rachel, reach out to people that I've been on my podcast before, and we'll find a way to help you out to where you're not stuck in that position and putting money out when you go. There's no reason that you being in the service, okay, you made a mistake, but we are able to help you out with that. So you can move to your next relocation, your next assignment. I'm not sure what the proper word is.
Assignment, yeah. Duty station, whatever.
Duty station. Yep. And you can go there without having that stress of having this extra mortgage being there or having to pay that money when you do sell it at basically a loss.
Well, the other part that I'd like to hinge off that, Edgar, if there are agents that are just like, this property is not moving, or I have more questions about this, and you don't want to talk to a wholesaler, I actually connect agents if I'm not going to buy it with the direct end buyer. So like it's a different form of wholesaling, I think, because I've noticed, I think in the last few years, as what we do has increased in popularity, there's varying degrees of people and their expertise and knowledge. So what I tend to do with folks is be like, look, I understand I am in this every day, all day. I don't want your property. Like, I'm not interested, but why don't I connect you to someone that this is exactly what's in their buy box so that you can have an honest conversation with the person buying it instead of having to wonder who that person is.
Good way to help. There's so many ways to do it. You just have to know and think outside of the box, and you've been through it. So thank you for helping out people that way.
I love it.
You don't always have to make a buck out of helping somebody out.
No.
You know, law of reciprocity will come back and help you out in the future, or karma if you believe in it.
I mean, it's already, in the last week, have had 3 people that were laid off from one of the big banks up in Charlotte reach out to me because they're about to lose their compensation package and they're afraid they're not going to be able to make their mortgage payments. So these are people who were like high functioning veterans volunteering at veteran events, right? Like, and now all of a sudden, you know, what looks like a successful person is like hurting. So I think it's really important to always be voicing what we're doing because people hear it. You don't have to be charging people to just discuss your knowledge and help people out. So I appreciate platforms like this, Edgar, that you provide so that people can do just that.
Thank you. Sure. What are you most excited about coming up next?
Oh my gosh. Well, honestly, it's the phone calls that I have scheduled for next week in San Diego. If I can show proof of concept and start making content with people that demonstrates like, hey, being a landlord can suck, right? Like no one wants to deal with kicking out tenants. No one wants like hiring a property manager can be a pain, like particularly if you're working with second chance folks, because a lot of property managers don't want to touch someone with an eviction. And if you want to help people, like you have to believe in second chances. And so the idea of working with one of these nonprofits down in San Diego to fill these properties, I don't have to do that. I don't have to worry about a lease with an individual person because my lease is with the nonprofit. They're worried about fulfillment because if they don't fulfill, they won't get their grant funding back. That to me is how I really help people because now I'm focused on my zone of excellence instead of like nitnoid things that waste my time. I spend more time being creative, Edgar.
I love it that you got your focus.
Oh yeah.
I need to be better at that. I've been getting better. I've reduced my 99 items to like 12.
Oh my God. I'll tell you what helped me, Edgar, was starting a podcast. We started REI Baddies with the intent of like interviewing our friends and hearing what they were doing. And now it's getting to a point where I'm like, we haven't interviewed a TC. let's treat this like a mastermind. Like, let's bring on a Ella Ray or someone like that. So that way or a Caleb Christopher, let's talk to people about what it means to do this, because it's sexy, right? To door knock and be like, I saved this guy from foreclosure. But like, going back to not as sexy things, underwriting is just as important and can kill your deal. So we should be interviewing more underwriters and explaining to the community, look, you may join this and not be a direct to agent or direct to seller visionary. You might be really good at math, and I need those people. Like, don't shy away from the gifts that God has given you. So having a podcast to focus me on what I'm doing and the help I need and talking to those people has been massively helpful.
I like that. That's one of the reasons I started mine, was the retreats that we just had. There's so many people there. There's 500 people or around that. You can't talk with everybody. And then if you are having a good conversation, everybody's open to network. So people come in and you got to change your conversation and focus it on. So that's what I did my podcast for, was to be able to have more one-on-ones to get to know them like we are right now, and see how I can help them out, see what I can learn, see what maybe something intrigues me more to say, hey, let me focus more on this portion of my business instead of all of it.
All of it at the same time.
Yes. It's like that movie, Everywhere, All at Once.
Oh my God. That's kind of the life of an entrepreneur.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then, so the nonprofits that you're reaching out to, are they all just veteran based?
For now, they are, only because it's super easy for me to be relatable to those. Like, I'm not an aged out foster kid. And you can tell when I'm on the phone with someone who may work in that property that while I care or in that space, while I care very much about aged out foster children, there's a very different energy that comes out of me when I'm working with veteran issues. And because I know that, it seems selfish to me to like not be doubling down on that space, particularly when so many people in this community want to work with those people.
How are you finding your nonprofits that are veteran based?
Oh my gosh. So, fun story about me. I used to work at a veteran recruiting agency. It's the largest veteran recruiting agency in the nation. And I got really acquainted with a tool called LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And so what I do is I pay a little extra every year. I think I pay about $1,000 for this, and it allows me to generate leads. And so I'll go in and be like, I want to find people in this city with a nonprofit background, in a nonprofit that has between 20 and 200 people, and I'll use a Boolean search to put veteran housing. And then it'll just deck me out a lead. I think when I did that in San Diego, I had like 91 leads. I was like, cool, I got something to do today. And I just start calling these nonprofits. And I say things like, hey, I think I'm looking for this person, but this is what I do. Is that who I talk to? And then inevitably I end up in someone's phone tree leaving a voice message or scheduling an appointment for next week.
Okay. And why did you choose San Diego?
My partner, Michael Manatz-Dakanian, has a property there. And he was like, hey, this one for me, it would be a big like value add if you could find someone there to fill it. So that's what I did. Literally just started it this morning, Edgar, and already have 3 appointments next week knocked out.
I love it. Could you use help calling?
I think there's going to come a point where I get there. Right now, I'm learning how to do it. I'm actually filming myself on Riverside as I'm doing it. So that way later I can start using it for content and scripts and SOPs. And in the military, we call them TTPs for tips, tactics, and procedures. So I film everything I do. Kind of like how people are with CRMs. If you didn't film it, it didn't happen.
Oh yeah, there's so much truth to that. So if you're an entrepreneur, record yourself so you can start doing your SOPs. Hey, for those of you that need some EMD, earnest money deposit for your wholesale deals, or if you need to do a double close, or if you're doing a Morby method and you need that percentage gap funded, get with Josh Smith at Foundational Funding. Get the link below. He'll do transactional lending. He did it for me. We got a fourplex and he was able to help out with the 30% that we needed to get the deal knocked out, and excellent service they provided. They take care of all the details, and they spend a lot more time than I expected they would with the lenders to get it over the finish line. So tell Josh I sent you the links below. Back to the episode. And being able to show when you get to the point that you don't need to be doing that anymore, the next person can just follow your recordings and have a way to fall back instead of you having to go back and show them again. So you clone yourself, have your system processes, and then hopefully provide all the answers there for the person that you hired to help you out with that.
Yep.
Excellent.
Yes, I do my best, Edgar. I do my best.
Yeah. Hopefully everybody does.
Just kidding.
That's why I said it. Awesome. Okay, so right now you're not using callers, but I guess like most entrepreneurs and real estate investors, you could use funding.
Oh yeah, always looking for funding. Because I'm looking for that sub 2. Over time, I'm starting to develop some really key relationships with capital raisers here, just because I focus in the veteran space, and we do have capital raising teams here that want to get in that space. So for me, a lot of this is just showing a proof of concept. A lot of people say they can do a lot of things. I love to be like, no, look at all of these things that I've done. This is the model again and again and again. And so I think the capital will be easier to get once I secure this first location with that nonprofit. And that's when I'm really going to need more people on the phone.
Right. Yeah. So Brian Matson, he's in Houston. He's got some. Yeah, you've talked to him?
I freaking love Brian. There's very few people cooler than Brian Matson.
Awesome. I'm glad you've been able to connect with him. Yeah, he's in Houston area. He's got some connections with some nonprofits. He houses quite a few veterans with HUD-VASH, and I forget what the other one is, SVF?
SSVF.
SSVF. All right, I missed one there.
That's okay. That's what people like Brian and I are for.
Acronyms. Yeah, so if you want to invest in Houston, right now Brian Matson's there. Eventually Rachel will be there, but right now Rachel's working in San Diego and North Carolina area. And is there one more? Did I miss one?
Right now, those are the 2 major spots that I'm working on. Yeah.
And I guess you ended up there because of your military service?
In the Carolinas?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I lived in Fayetteville from 2008 till 2020. And that's when my husband did what's called a PCS, or a permanent change of station, when we move. So we did a PCS from Fort Bragg to Fort Jackson, which is just outside of Columbia, South Carolina. And my husband was medically retired. And when he medically retired at 17 years, he took a job for Truist Financial, which, for your listeners, is the biggest bank you've probably never heard of if you don't live in the Southeast. It's a top 10 bank. And we moved to Charlotte. What was crazy, Edgar, is we literally moved from a master planned community into another master planned community with a house that almost looks the exact same. We went from we had a $250,000, 3,000 square foot property in Columbia. We moved here and it was $630,000 an hour north. Yeah. So when people talk about like affordable housing and getting priced out of things, I'm like, well, that's how you do it. You move near a major metro where all the jobs and opportunity are. So how do we help these people? This is ridiculous. Sorry, not to rampage, but.
No, it's true. Location.
Yeah.
That's what they say about it. Yeah.
But it's crazy too, for any of your veterans who are listening. If you are 100% disabled veteran in the state of South Carolina, you will not pay property taxes on your house. And so if you live in Charlotte, you get a credit for $50,000. But I'm like, if you're in a struggling housing situation, let's talk about the benefits of you moving like 3 miles south. And if that makes sense for you. So it seems so simple, but so few people want to have those. People are like embarrassed to talk about disability ratings. It's silly.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's just everybody thinks of a negative connotation to it, or that they're limited and can't perform the way other people can. But it's as simple as you said, like tinnitus. If you're hearing that ringing, nobody's going to know that. You're not walking separately, differently. You can still hear people talk. You can still speak correctly, but it's not something that, I mean, it is a disability. It's not going to affect your day to day, but that's annoying that you have to listen to that, sleep through it. I I mean, that's crazy. I've seen like movies and things like that where people are talking. They put music in the background to kind of drain it out. It's pretty wild.
Another prime one that a lot of veterans don't even think about, like migraines. I'm rated for 30% for migraines because for 2 years I lived in a place where we burned our own feces and I smelled that day in and day out. And you can't tell me that smelling burning feces for 2 years had no effect on anything in my, you can't convince me of that. So, I mean, sometimes people think like, oh, that's just a thing. And I'm like, no, 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 you can be compensated from that. It's probably worse because of your service.
Wow, that's a wild story. I guess you were. Where did you do that at?
Oh, that was in Afghanistan. So we burned our own feces. We actually called it the poo pond. And you can see it from like Google Images. If you ever look up Kandahar airfield, I can literally point and be like, yep, that's where we burned our poop.
Wow. That's wild. Yeah, there's things I've never heard of. Drop a comment if you know something like that or if you were there.
Yeah, let's see if we serve together.
How many people were you stationed with?
In Kandahar? Oh, Kandahar was a super large FOB or forward operating base. It was an airfield. So like we had an entire brigade there. So you got to think like there were at least 3,000 people from my own brigade plus other units there. So it's a small city. Now I established something called a forward arming refueling point or FARP. It's basically a gas station with Hellfire rockets in a place called FOB Ramrod and FOB Frontenac. And those only had a battalion sized element. So there was only like 500 people there, but yeah, it all just depended on where you were in Afghanistan, how many people were there, how far forward you were.
That's a lot of feces. I mean, you think of like, okay, maybe 10 people, 100 people, but that many people, that much burning, that's going to spread and probably linger. And
I used to ask my family to send me dryer sheets, and a lot of us would just hang dryer sheets in our rooms to try to cover up the smell. It was really gross, guys. And like when we came back, any clothing I had, I just threw it away. I was like, it's going to just stink. It's so gross. That's the stuff, yeah, right? When people are like, thank you for your service. I'm like, that's the stuff where I'm like, you were worth it.
Yeah, these are stories that 90% of the service people aren't going to tell the general public about,
Yeah.
Oh my God. And because I'm pretty sure you just didn't have the infrastructure to get there and install, sewers. We're so lucky to be able to have that where we're at.
That's why I try to every day just think about like, I live in abundance, right? Like even on my crappiest, we'll use that word, my crappiest day in America is better than my best day in Afghanistan every day.
Oh, yeah,
so definitely. It's an important thing to recalibrate yourself too when you're feeling sorry for yourself, because we all do it at some period of time or another.
I bet. I mean, when you're over there doing this, were you ever like, how many more days do I have left to do this, or why did I sign up for this?
0.3 percentage points per day is every day of a year-long deployment. I know that because I had a tracker where I had a picture of the airfield, and then underneath it I had my house, and in front of my house was my family. And every day a little 0.3% of Afghanistan would go away, and 0.3% of my family and my house would come back in. And I got to a point where it's like, I can't look at this every day. It's too depressing. So I would look at it like every week and be like, wow, look how much more in my house I would see. So, and I would use things like, I knew how long it would take me to get through shower gel. I was like, okay, I can get through this Bed Bath & Beyond shower gel in about 2.5, 3 weeks. And I would count time with that. Like, it's the best thing you can do on a deployment is just get in a routine. So like every morning I would wake up at 5 a.m. I would go to the gym. I would go work out. I would come back. I would eat, shower, all those things, go into my office because you work 7 days a week. It's just, I took a book with me every time to lunch. I read over 50 books that year. I would leave, at the end of the day. I would work out again. I would shower again. I would eat again. I was in really good shape when I left Afghanistan. But Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. It's funny, I haven't talked about it in a really long time. And like even talking about it now, I'm like, oh yeah, I do remember when I did that.
Hey, if you're not in the service and you're signing up, this might be something you're gonna have to. I wouldn't say look forward to, but maybe expect. One thing for when you were overseas is, I guess, a lot of people that are on this side and not, enlisted or in the service or out at a station over there is you would get packages from family and friends.
Yeah, of course.
So if can non-family friends people send stuff out to civilians, and what's the best way to get that there? I mean, if you're
Yeah.
hearing this, they're going through stuff like this. Please send something to help them out.
Yeah, so there were always like churches would adopt. Soldiers Angels is the name of one of the nonprofits. Also, like local VFWs, those ones were my favorite because they always put little shots of like the party shots in them. So I got to a point where I'd have to like open ours because you're not allowed to have liquor or alcohol at all on deployment. So we'd have to like open the VFW ones first to make sure they weren't sending our soldiers booze when we were deployed. But yeah, those would be the two organizations that if you're like, I want to get involved in like right veterans that are currently deployed to like Poland, that's what I would recommend to folks. And it's
And
fun, the weird stuff that like everyone always sends the same stuff. They always want to send. I feel like Afghanistan was where every Tom Clancy book went to die. Like every library had like every Tom Clancy book. Oddly enough, when I was deployed, the thing I got excited about was when people sent tampons because like we just didn't have them. And so you don't think about something like that. So my soldiers used to also love, they would get menthol cigarettes. Like, so again, I wasn't going to like promote them smoking, but I started telling people like, if you really want to send something where a soldier's going to get excited, ask their leadership what they want. Don't just send another Tom Clancy book and a toothbrush.
no, but dryer sheets is huge for that.
Yep, dryers
Your
are wonderful.
You said your bed bath and not be Bath and Body Works.
Bath and Body Works, yeah, the shower gels and stuff. Mostly just so I could have variety and feel like a girl, right? Because I used to joke around all the time that I look like a sugar cookie because I was just covered in sweat and dust. Like it's hard to feel cute when you're in Afghanistan.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you for your service. Thank you for your time being over there. Your husband as well.
Yeah, you guys were worth it.
What was that?
I said you were worth it.
Oh, oh, wow. Thank you. I haven't heard somebody say it that way, but yeah, wow. That's touching to think that the civilians, the citizens of the country, not even citizens, the people in the country are
That's
worth
why
it
I
for the people
served.
that signed for it.
Yeah, I didn't serve for myself. I served to keep America safe. I served so that entrepreneurs can start businesses and become ridiculously wealthy and support, veteran initiatives for people who don't know how to do that. Like that's why I served. I didn't serve for myself. So, yeah.
Amazing reason.
Thank you for letting me get on my soapbox.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love it. So before, okay, you left the military and then you went straight to entrepreneur.
No, I went to federal government. I worked in federal government for a decade and hated it. I got out and I became a like director of basically procurement for a company that was in 78 locations, 3 of them overseas. And I gave myself an ulcer in 10 months. It was awful. It was just really stressful. So I quit and I worked for a veteran hiring agency. And I did that for about 3.5 years. And then I got bored. So I went and started working at a nonprofit here in Charlotte, where our number one most requested service was affordable housing. And quite frankly, we couldn't ever deliver. And I started getting more and more frustrated of working at a nonprofit with the word home in the nonprofit and not being able to house people. And it culminated in me being like, pardon my language, but fuck this, I'm going to do it myself. And that's where I'm on a mission to help other entrepreneurs and also collectively acquire properties to get at impactful investing, not just I mean, I love cash on cash returns, obviously. I need them in order to make money, but I like to put my money that I privately lend on and that I'm investing in into projects that have impact.
Yeah, very good reason there. So you went through government, you went through nonprofit, and a lot of them were probably not run very well, a lot of politics, and not helping out what they say they really gonna help out with. So
It's
you're
I
taking the reins into your own hands and gonna do it.
I think I feel bad for nonprofits sometimes. I like you'll hear me like get very frustrated at the one I worked with, but or worked at. But at the end of the day, the people are just doing the best they can. Like they've got to, unfortunately, a lot of nonprofits get stuck on following their grant funding and they get a little off base with what their original mission was. And it's become such a hydra that they really can't do anything about it, you know? So I was really mad when I left, but over the course of the year that I've been building the business with my husband, I've become a little more, I have a little more grace with people because I'm like, okay, well, they just don't have access to the information or they think what I do is a scam. So, you know, I just got to show it to them before they get it. So I want to make sure people know I don't like hate the nonprofit that I worked at. It was the impetus of me becoming an entrepreneur.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Before you joined the army, what were your dreams? Part of the podcast Dream Start On is people have dreams, and then you got started. We now know why you got started. So what was the dream?
You're gonna laugh.
No,
You're gonna laugh.
Everybody has dreams. Some people never had this dream and just fell into it or pushed into it.
So before I joined the army, I didn't have a dream. I joined the army, and I think a lot of people don't really talk about this too much. I was really wayward. I joined the army at 24. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was working in AmeriCorps, so I was still serving. I was on the Flathead Indian Reservation making $800 a month before taxes, and I paid $325.12 for my rent. And I paid 12 cents because I lived in apartment 12, and that was how the investor knew I'd paid my rent. So I was living this life and I was like, this isn't it. This isn't it. I like eating powdered eggs and like I was having food donated to me by the tribe. Like on the tribe, like through the reservation, they were giving me free food. And I was just like, no. So that's when I decided to go to graduate school and join the army because I was like, if I don't know what I'm doing, I cannot know what I'm doing and make way more money and have a lot more purpose. And ultimately, as the years have gone by, I've really just found myself really deeply and rooted and just saturated in the veteran space. And it's become even more so, I think, in the last few years because, and I hate to say it this way, but it's how it feels sometimes. You know, when my brothers and sisters were dying overseas every day, people cared a whole lot more. There was a whole lot more like funding available and events. And now there's been such a shift in how Americans feel about being American. And I'm not going to get into the politics piece of it, but I've found more and more veterans just being real quiet, but they're still hurting. And so I try to find as many ways as I can to produce the start of a conversation to hear what's hurting so I can either get them directed to the resources that they need, or frankly, sometimes they just need someone to talk to. And yeah, so I think at this point, my dream would probably be to just be a lightning rod for people that have veteran issues and don't know where else to go. I want to be that kind of a subject matter expert because I know that through that, I'm going to have the type of impact that I'm supposed to.
It's a good cause. Have you set up your Mount Everest? Have you set up those numbers that, Pace Morby has challenged us in the Owners Club to?
Yeah, it shifted a little bit. So my husband and I mean, we have a goal of $50,000 a month. Whether that's through what we're doing with our Everest, I don't really care. That in and of itself to me, I think, and for a lot of people would be an Everest-sized goal to say I will have $50,000 of income coming into my house every month. But Michael and I are less concerned with, I want 500 veterans helped here because ultimately what we really want is no veteran unhoused. And so my Everest is more, and Michael's Everest is more along the lines of creating a blueprint in a city that demonstrates you can be in Fayetteville, you can be in San Diego, you can be in Denver, you can be in Poughkeepsie. These are the entities and partners that you need to work with to solve this problem. And I mean, to give a shout out to someone in OC, Chino Monte is doing that right now. Like, he focuses primarily on those who are currently homeless. I want to work with people when they're unstable and vulnerable before they become homeless. But it's still the same mission. It's making sure that anyone who's served this nation has a freaking roof over their head and to be able to show other people how to replicate it. That's my Everest.
I love it. The only thing about being able to leave no one unhoused is if everything's a priority, nothing's a priority. So I suggest that you do put a number to it and that it can grow once you hit it. But just give yourself that one stop, that one goal. So then I accomplished that. Now I can if you try to do all, you're gonna be like,
I'm gonna push you a little bit on this because I've had other people say the same thing to me. So here's why I say that. Do you know that every year for 3 days in January, every major city does a homeless, basically a walking census? Were you aware of that?
No.
Yeah, every year, major cities all across the country, their local governments will get together, nonprofits will get together and basically go in and check with people, like in their homeless camps, on them. And it's to figure out if resources need to switch, right? If there's been this big push from veterans from Atlanta to Charlotte because maybe some legislation was passed and we need to pivot. But one of the questions we ask is, did you or anyone in your family serve in the US military? And so we're able to track pretty precisely how many veterans are in our city that are unhoused. And so the reason I don't put a number on it is that number can change every year in the city. And I don't want to put a number. I don't want to say I want to house 500 veterans if there's only 120. So that's why the reason I say there's no reason is I have every year an annual feedback loop that I can use to see if I'm doing my job or not.
Okay. I'll give you that one.
I'm with you. Again, I'm a salesperson, right, by nature. So I love KPIs. So this was a harder one for me to come to terms with, but it's where I'm at now.
Yeah, definitely. No worries at all. That's good. That's a good reason. And yeah, I didn't know that they did that walk-in census 3 days of the year every January. Yep. Good to know. I'm just curious. I guess anytime that happens, it was probably like at work or at the house. Is something you don't see, right? Being out in downtown when the walking census or just
they'll like go under a bridge. Yeah, they'll go under a bridge because we all know, like anyone who's working SSVF, look, local partners, it's like a rotating door of like someone goes to you for help and then they'll go to this person for help, and we all talk to each other because we all provide different things. So like, we know where they hang out. I can't walk around uptown Charlotte and not be addressed by someone who's homeless. And I stopped working at the nonprofit over a year ago, but I still know many of these people.
Yeah. There's a, do you know how many veterans are released every year? Like how many people leave service and become veterans every year?
So every year, 220,000 people get out of the military. That is the number that the Department of Defense uses for manning purposes. And you have to assume that if half of those people are married, you actually have a continuous pipeline of 330,000 people that are going from being in the military to their civilian life.
Yeah, I figured it was 200,000. I was trying to remember. I heard the number and I had it stuck on there, but I wanted to hear it from somebody else to make sure, because I haven't looked it up. But yeah, so people listening, 200,000 military personnel are released from military every year. So 200,000 people become vets every year. And a lot of them, as that one that I spoke to, no longer have that team. They're released to civilian life. A lot of them don't reach out to their families and they are not sure what to do because they've been there for 3 to how many years being told direction, have their beds, the rooms set for them, and it's a hard change for them to go to be like, now what do I do?
Particularly in the workforce, right? Because like younger soldiers live together. They're in the barracks together. So they go to formation and then they go like hang out at the house. So imagine having that for a 4-year enlistment and then like going to work at Home Depot. Nobody hangs out with you after work. Like everyone's just like, I work here. This is not my family. You're not my friends. I'm going home. Well, how the heck do you meet anybody? Like, because we spend most of our time at doing our employment. So that's a really jarring. And I would ask anybody here who hires veterans to be asking veterans when they come into your organization, like, hey, do you have everything you need? Like, how you doing? Do you have your VA disability rate? Are you connected with like any veteran groups here? Like, so that you've got other people to talk to? And they may be like weirded out by it at first, but overwhelmingly, like people appreciate that you just care and ask the question.
And so many people don't know to ask that question.
Yep.
And then from those 200,000, is it 13% that are most likely to commit?
That I don't have the direct numbers for. I do know that. Oh, go ahead.
I think 13 is, I think every 13 minutes a veteran commits. I'd have to look it up, but it's something like that. It's a high percentage, and it's very often that it happens because, as you mentioned, they go to work, they don't have that camaraderie, they don't have that family anymore, that connection. They're basically by themselves.
Well, and a lot of times life out of the military kicks people in the teeth, right? We don't pay for healthcare in the military. So people are like, I'm good. And they'll take a job with the same salary that they had in the military. But now all of a sudden, like you got to pay for your wife and your 3 kids' healthcare. And they were not anticipating that. What do they do? Like that financially can be very difficult on a family. Even just operating under false information. I have soldiers that thought they could only use their VA loan once or have one property using their VA entitlement. That's simply not true. So they'll be like, well, I have to rent. And I'm like, you can buy another house. What are you doing? And with those people, I'm like, you can buy up to a quadplex, right? So if money's tight, you can use your VA loan to buy a quadplex, have 4 doors, you and your family live in one, and you rent the other ones out to cover your mortgage and then some. So I've like tricked veterans into becoming real estate investors through simply using their VA loan.
Yeah, waited for them to save their mortgage and have the other people pay for their mortgage. Me being in the civilian looking outside, I thought that once you were released, you would still continue with VA like medical benefits. That's not the case.
No, once you leave the military, I think they give you 30 days. But even like, I remember I was a GS employee, and because I was a GS employee, I didn't have access to my reserve medical benefits, which were significantly better than my government benefits. And so thank God I was married to another service member, so I was taken care of. But that's another benefit of having 100% VA disability rating is your family can now qualify for CHAMPS. So like, there's a lot of stuff with these benefits and entitlements where I'm like, guys, like, why would you close windows and doors available to you? Like, why would you do that?
What kind of tips do you have for somebody that's about to be released from the military? What things they should do? What should they do?
I tell people to brace for impact. Everybody in the military is going to tell you about how corporate America wants to hire you. They're chomping at the bit. You have this idea of what you're worth. And the reality is corporate America overwhelmingly loves to market that they love hiring veterans. But what they actually mean is they love hiring veterans with industry experience, i.e. not you yet. And so that is a very difficult thing for a lot of service members to overcome. And it's gotten more difficult as the rates continue to stay high. Inflation continues to stay high. And yes, they get like a 0.5 point lower on their VA loan. But the thing I would just tell you is prepare for it to be difficult, but also know in the Army or the military, we do difficult shit all the time. So you just need to find more people that have also gone through it. So connecting with people like me, finding veteran nonprofits in your area, even if you're like, this feels kind of lame, like sometimes they do really fun outing things. So like, prime example, when I worked at Veterans Bridge Home, every single home game for the Carolina Panthers, we had a contract or an agreement with the Carolina Panthers where we staffed their Play 60. So we had like 10 inflatables that were all staffed by veterans who were working in the big banks in Uptown or working at Home Depot or working at the medical facilities. And it's free to the community. There's a band there, there's a DJ, Sir Purr's there throwing the football. Now that we don't suck, it's way more fun. But it's a great opportunity to like meet other veterans that are hired already to be like, tell me about your company culture. And it's like not a job interview, so they're going to tell you the real deal. Use events like that to network. The other thing I tell veterans all the time is don't just rely on your veteran network. You've got to learn how to communicate with people who are not insulated to just what we know. Because if you do that, you're being incredibly selfish with the knowledge we have, and you're not helping more people. So once you're stabilized, I tell people you need to go out and you need to find people who need help, and you need to help them. That's our response. We never stop serving, ever. So those would be my pieces of recommendation.
Excellent. For those listening, please use that, take to heart. Don't do it by yourself. Mm-mm. Us as real estate investors, we're not doing it by ourselves. That's why we're on this podcast talking to each other. That's why we went to a retreat. We're not doing it by ourselves. You're going to get a lot further working with other people, looking for people that have already done that. If you're a nonprofit organization that helps out military or sober living, aged out foster care, please reach out to me, reach out to Rachel. Even if it's not in our state, there's a very high chance we know somebody in that state that's going to be able to help out with whatever nonprofit organization that you are trying to help out, or the people to trying to support. So let's be your connection to them.
We don't just know them. They're excited to meet you.
Yes, 100%.
So we will introduce 100%. You to our friends that will be thrilled to be on the phone with you. Thrilled.
Yeah. No, they're not going to be shy about it. They're going to say, hey, let's do it. And how soon can we get this done?
Yep.
Because there's a huge need.
I'm going to say one more thing to your audience. I know he told you on the front end to subscribe and ring the bell and all the things. Guys, like, stop listening to me right now and just do the damn thing. Ring the bell and subscribe to what Edgar's doing, because if you're watching the time or taking the time to watch what you're doing now, by simply doing that, you're allowing Edgar to bring more super cool people like me on his show. So do it.
Well said. And then after this episode, check out one of our episode, REI Baddies.
We got to have you on, Edgar, so we can cross promote each other's episodes.
Definitely. Happy to do it.
Love it.
So besides nonprofits and private money lenders, private money partners, how else can somebody work with you?
I mean, if you're a nonprofit and you need inventory, you should be calling me, particularly in the veteran space. That's the biggest one. Those are really the primary ways, Edgar, that when I think about how I can help people without sounding ridiculous, right? Like, could I use this to promote my book? Sure. But I'm like, it's not one of those things like, I guess, like, you know what? I'll just do it. If you like what I'm talking about with Edgar, I actually wrote a book. It's called The Climb, Creating an Everest Mindset. And it's all about, I went to 17,600 feet with my father, who's also an Army veteran. And it's a great showcase in what I did when I served as a woman in the 82nd Airborne Division, growing up with a father in the military and having a less than easy relationship, and overcoming that difficulty with each other to the point that we were able to go on an adventure like that to the base of the world's highest mountain. So yeah, you know what? I was going to use that. That's another great way to get to work with me. And leave a review. I appreciate that.
Your book's on Amazon?
Yes, sir.
I love the name of it. 1700.
17,600 feet is what Everest Base Camp is at. It's
wow.
I got an active minute for tying my shoe. It is physically probably one of the most challenging things I've done. And I mean, I've run marathons, I did Army stuff, but taking 10 days to climb that high, starting at 9,000 feet and going that high, like I had no idea what I was in for when I started that. And I didn't find out until afterward that 30% of people never even get to base camp. They just quit.
Wow. And how old was your father then?
67 years old.
Wow.
Yep.
Congratulations.
He's doing Mont Blanc this spring. So my dad is going and doing a 101-mile hike in the mountains of France, I think Italy, and I can't remember the other one that he'll cross into, but it's like he retired and he just discovered trekking and he absolutely loves it.
Wow. To be that age and that very active 100-mile hike. Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do that.
My dad is cool. Like, not a lot of people can be like, I actually want to hang out with my dad. And like, I love hanging out with my dad. He's so cool.
Awesome. I love it. Rachel, where can people find you and get a hold of you?
Oh my gosh. So easiest way to probably get a hold of me is on REI Batty's show. That's reibattyshow.com. Sorry. And you will see there's a drop down either to be a guest on my show or to submit potential deals. That's probably the best way to get a hold of me to do business. But if people just have questions, you can find me on Instagram is the Rachel Davis Real Estate.
Is that where if somebody has questions about becoming a veteran, wants to get more information about being disabled, would you be open for them to reach out to you and your Instagram to help them out?
Yep. And I'm actually on our REI Batty's YouTube channel going to start I do micro learnings now already on like how to hunt for people's buy boxes. I think what I'm going to start doing are micro learnings on like, this is how you like start getting your VA disability rating. Like, this is how you log into the website. This is how you do this, because I'm learning that I'm spending a lot of time educating, and I'm like, I could probably make a 5-minute video and not have to repeat myself over and over again. So my YouTube is also a really great place to get information, both about, I mean, similarly to what Edgar's doing, you know, showing that, you know, creative finance isn't a scam. We're literally interviewing people besides Pace Morby and Jamil Damji who are doing these deals daily. But I am also learning there's other things I can be teaching the world about. So more to follow on that, Edgar.
Excellent. I love it. Thank you so much for being on this episode of Dream Start On Podcast. Rachel Davis, until the next episode, we will see you on the next one.
Thank you.
Be sure to catch this other episode to start your dreams and own your time like these other guests have.